Governor, why didn't you tell the truth?
Straight
Why didn't
up.
you just tell the truth about the Feeding Our Future program? This program, my understanding, received $3 million the first year. Within a couple years was getting $200 million of taxpayer money. Whistleblowers raised concerns. As the chairman said, auditors raised concerns. Everybody raised concerns. March 30th, 2021, the payments are stopped. And a little over a month later, the payments are restarted. Why didn't you tell the truth about why you restarted the payments?
Well, Chairman, we did tell you. And Feeding Our Future grew because of the pandemic. And
I didn't ask that question. I said, why didn't you tell the truth about why you restarted the payments? The payments stopped because there were concerns, obviously. He wouldn't stop the payments. Then they're
This was going to be our vice
later.
president.
What was the reason for restarting the payments?
my understanding was the agency believed that the court had required them to make those payments.
And that was false, wasn't it? You repeated
think that
You
is-
said that, didn't you? You
I
said that's
don't
why
think-
the reason you said the reason you restarted is because the court ordered you to do so. Is that right?
I don't believe that is settled yet, to the best of my knowledge.
Well, I think it is, because the court did something that I don't know if I've ever seen it. They issued a statement saying you were wrong in what you were saying. This is from the court. It says, Feeding Our Future versus Minnesota Department of Education, correcting reports and statements by Governor Tim Walz concerning orders issued by the court. Here's what the judge says. Governor Tim Walz told the media that the Minnesota Department of Education attempted in payments to FOF because of possible fraud, but that Judge Guthman ordered payments to continue in April 2021. Next sentence. That is false. So you said something wasn't true. He further states this. Judge Guthman, the court says this.
caught
Judge
lying?
Guthman never ordered the Department of Education to resume payments to Feeding Our Future in April 2021 or at any other time.
What you say about that,
Why didn't
Timmy?
you tell the truth?
Congressman, the attorneys at the Department of Education interpreted that differently. Both of those judges are no longer on the bench, and
Let
I
me
think
just
that
read the
interpretation.
very first sentence, the first 7 words. This is not some unnamed source talking to the New York Times. This is not some anonymous source talking to whatever your Minnesota Star Tribune or whatever your paper is. This is the court speaking. First sentence, first 7 words. Due to inaccurate statements by the governor, Ramsey County District Court judge has issued and authorized this following news release. That's pretty straightforward. So the court's lying?
I can't tell you, Congressman, but the
Well,
interpretation
somebody's
was
lying. Somebody's lying. 'cause
interpretation.
You can't say the
Oh,
court
my
ordered you
God.
to restart the payments, and then the court says we didn't order you to restart the payments. So either you're lying or the court's lying. And I'm just asking you, which one is it?
I just simply know what the attorneys at the agency believed, that it was a misinterpretation.
Could
And
it
I would
be-
note that those
Could it
payments.
be you were trying to hide behind the court, Governor? Could that maybe be the reason why you issued the statements you did and why the court had to do something you never see done before? They issue a press statement saying you're wrong. The governor is wrong. His statement is, their words, not mine, false. Could that be the reason?
That was not the interpretation of the attorneys. And you know, court
This
orders
nigga say interpretation one more time.
Congressman, as you well know. I'm sure
Is it
there's.
all about politics, Governor?
No, it's about taking care of our people, which
Yeah, these
Minnesota does
programs
better
go
than
from
anyone
3
else.
million. The behavioral intervention program went from 3 million to 400 million in 5 years. The housing stabilization went from 2.6 million to 104 million. The integrated
How?
community supports went from 4.6 million to 170 million in 3 years. And this is unbelievable what's happening. And you're trying to
And that's
hide
how he
behind
raised
some
all that money.
pretend court order. Some court
Last
order
year, a
didn't
couple years
exist.
ago.
Governor, who's Casey Magan?
I don't know who Casey Magan is.
Well, I'll tell you. Mr. Magan is a Somali American and a fraud investigator in the guy beside you's office, in the Attorney General's office. And here's what he said. There was a perception that forcefully tackling this issue might cause political backlash among the Somali community, which is a core voting bloc. Did that have anything to do with this whole fraud scheme
Yep.
that went on in your state, Governor?
It did not, Congressman.
Did not. So you're saying Mr.
They
Casey
just
Magan
lied.
is lying too?
I'm not.
You're the only one telling the truth in the whole state. Mr. Magan, who's a fraud investigator at the Attorney General's office, says it's politics. The court said
I couldn't
you were,
speak
you
for
were
Mr.
stating-
Magan. You asked me a question.
I know. I'm
And I
asking.
said no when you asked me the question.
I'm saying Casey Magan said just the opposite.
I don't know.
So the
You-
court's wrong and Casey Magan's wrong. You're the only guy right. How many people have been indicted in your state right now? Do you know, Governor?
I don't have those numbers with me.
You don't? 98 people been indicted. You happen to know how many are Somali American?
97.
We don't investigate or prosecute people based on ethnicity, religion.
Neither do I. We shouldn't do that. But Mr. Megan is a Somali American who just said that the core one of the concerns was this is a core voting block. And I just want to know if you know how many of the 98 people who have been indicted in your state are Somali.
I don't. Their ethnicity is not my concern.
85% of the people indicted were Somali American in key voting block, and I think that.
Get them.
Я работаю педагогом-организатором в Карабашской общей.
Mr. Donalds from Florida.
Thank you, Chairman. Governor Walz, when did you first receive notice of potential fraud in Minnesota's social services programs?
Social service programs in general. We knew that there was issues with the CCAP program as early as 2012, and my first days in office, we started taking action.
But as governor, when were you first notified?
Before I took office.
All right, Governor Walz, former Department of Human Services Commissioner Tony Laurie testified that you were aware in early 2019 of fraud in 2 Department of Human Services administered programs. Is this statement accurate?
Not that I recall. I'm not sure what.
That I don't recall.
You don't remember
bro.
this meeting or this notification?
No, not specifically. I don't.
In March of 2019, your Office of Legal Affairs reported $5 to $6 million in alleged child care assistance program fraud. In April 2019, it was also reported that the Department of Human Services lacked proper integrity controls to control fraud. Were you aware of these reports?
Not specific reports, but because of that, my office, we put forward actions to address them, starting in 2019.
Is it correct that your administration was aware of the Feeding Our Future fraud as early as of May of 2020, based upon regular discussions about program irregularities?
I believe that's correct with the agency, the Department of Education, and then going back to USDA.
I'm gonna go back. Was your office notified of these fraud allegations?
Not me specifically, that they're handled internally in the investigation. It happens every day.
Who was notified, Governor Walz?
The agencies do their work, the commissioners, and then if someone in my office was notified, they let me know. As governor, I make, 50 decisions a day. I said I did this job for 12 years. I make more decisions in a day.
Governor Walz.
So someone was maybe notified, but the agencies are the ones that take the action.
May I ask the next question? We have it under sworn testimony in the Oversight Committee that your former Chief of Staff was notified directly by these various commissioners about the fraud in Minnesota.
That could be correct.
So are you saying that your Chief of Staff didn't notify
report to you?
I'm saying I don't recall whether he did at that time or not, but we took action. So I'm assuming when we put our budgets together based on that.
Oh, just nigga say I don't recall one more time.
Let's talk about budgets, Governor Walz. Feeding Our Future went from $307,000 in 2018 to $199 million in 2021. Are you aware of this increase in budgetary costs from Feeding Our Future?
Not specifically, but I know it increased during the pandemic.
The Housing Stabilization Services went from $27 million in 2021 to $105 million in 2024. Are you aware of this increase, Governor Walz?
Not specifically, but I know it increased.
Autism centers went from $24 million in 2019 to $342 million in 2024. Are you aware of that?
Not specifically again, but yes, we know the budget's increased.
Integrated community supports went from $4.6 million in 2021 to $170 million in 2024. Are you aware of that?
Again, not specifically on the numbers, but it's the budget.
Governor
Bro,
Walz,
how can he just get away with everything, bro?
Every single year, like every governor has to do. If you're not aware of these increases, what was your office
Everyone
doing?
is balanced. My budget is about $72 billion. It includes 23 agencies.
Florida's budget's
6 million people.
$115 billion, sir. But what were you doing if you're seeing program increases like this amid allegations of fraud in your state?
Action was being taken on these starting back in 2019. If it's CCAP.
Can you describe the action that was taken in 2019?
Sure. In 2019, I'll go to the first things that we did on child care assistance. We lowered the standards on proof of administrative fraud disqualification.
Whoa, you lowered the standards?
We lowered the standards for proof of administrative fraud. The standards where we had to prove it were so high it was impossible to try and do it. So we lowered what it took to show that fraud was happening.
And what did you do with the results of lowering the standards to prove fraud? What did you do?
We put 79 people in prison and.
But Governor Walz, the fraud continued to increase.
Yeah,
it increased under your
tenure.
tenure. Do you acknowledge that?
Did the numbers increase? Yes. And I tell you, when you catch people and prosecute them, it shows up at the fraud increase. I would tell you, Congressman,
But
Just because you're not hearing about fraud doesn't mean it's not
I got 50
happening.
seconds, Governor, and I don't want to get into a fight with you, but let me move quickly to the Lieutenant Governor. Peggy Flanagan's your Lieutenant Governor, is that correct?
That is correct.
Does the Lieutenant Governor go on the ticket with you, or are they elected by themselves on a ballot in the state of Minnesota?
It's on a ticket.
It's on a ticket. Peggy Flanagan essentially works for you.
She has an independent office. She's a constitutional officer. She's on the ticket, but she is independent as a constitutional
Don't try to
officer.
Ask for
separate
her
yourself.
resignation at any time, is that correct? That's typically how it works with lieutenant governors.
Yeah, but she's a constitutional officer. I don't believe that's happened in Minnesota.
Peggy Flanagan is, there are accusations that she was intimidating whistleblowers. There was a meeting on April 12th of 2024 where she went on stage and publicly denounced whistleblowers in the state of Minnesota, calling them losers in their mother's basements. Is this the type of treatment that your administration allows for whistleblowers in Minnesota?
I'm not familiar with that.
Are you aware of any intimidation of whistleblowers in the state of Minnesota? There are 30 whistleblowers who have given letters to this committee on the record saying that they have been subject to intimidation by your administration because they were trying to stop the fraud in Minnesota.
I encourage them to go to the OLA and the independent sources in Minnesota that are
The
open to do
OLA,
that.
you're the governor.
No, the OLA is the independent
But sir,
office of
you're the
legislative
governor.
auditor.
Why don't you take responsibility for what's going on in your state?
We do take responsibility. None of those people, I'm telling you, I have no knowledge
But
of
you
them
lost
coming in.
billions of dollars of American taxpayer money in the process, Governor Walz.
We prosecuted
No,
these
they
people,
didn't. That
Congressman.
money
I think
came back to the
Florida has
election.
fraud.
I would argue that the prosecutions have largely come from the federal offices
That's
as
not how
opposed to
this
the state
works.
offices.
You know that we refer
What
them
do you
to
mean
them
that's not how it works? That's
They're
exactly
partners.
how it works.
They're partners. They partner together. Our BCA.
Is the Attorney General allowed to investigate fraud and prosecute fraud in the state of Minnesota without the Department of Justice federally? Are you allowed to do that, Attorney General Ellison?
Yes, and we do prosecute Medicaid. Yes, and we do prosecute Medicaid fraud all the time. We've prosecuted over 300 people.
Apparently not enough, because Minnesota's rife with it. I yield back.
They get shit. Nigga,
Never
the
sue
more
the
you
other
prosecute, the
driver
better
after-
they get, nigga.
Chair now recognizes Ms. Mace from South Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for being here today. Governor Walz and Attorney General Ellison, you have presided over one of the worst government fraud scandals in American history. This was money intended to feed hungry children, help kids with autism, provide food and shelter and health care to the needy, and more. You both allowed billions in these American taxpayer dollars to be pillaged and plundered by Somali pirates. You knew this was happening, you chose to do nothing about it, and in some cases, you even enabled it. Attorney General Ellison, you even profited from this fraud by taking campaign donations from these Somalians after pledging to help quash the investigation into them. I find your behavior despicable. My questions this morning,
Finally, somebody
my
asked
first
about
go
it,
to
like,
Governor Walz.
we know where the money
I hope
went.
you learned some lessons from your last hearing with me on the
Son of
Oversight
Somalia,
Committee.
son to the
Have you
election.
learned anything
I
since then?
did that if I didn't speak up, 2 of my people would be dead, Congresswoman, and I warned you.
Okay, Miss Governor Walz, what is a woman? Have you learned that lesson? Do you know what a woman is?
I'm the governor of Minnesota, Congresswoman.
Do you know what a
I'm not
woman
here
is?
to be your prop for your obsession.
So
I
if you
taught middle
can't
school your
define what a
obsession.
woman is, you certainly can't define what fraud is. If you can't even define what a woman is, you can't define fraud. How much money was spent on autism in Minnesota in 2017, Governor?
I don't have those numbers in front of me, Congresswoman.
Did you prepare for this hearing today? Did you
I
do
did.
any
I
preparation
take
for this hearing
Congress
today?
seriously.
And you've seen the numbers about autism fraud in Minnesota. So we're going to do some Minnesota math with you today.
Okay.
Are
Minnesota
you ready?
math.
How much money was
Please
spent
sit.
on 2017 for autism in Minnesota? How much?
I don't know. I wasn't the governor.
Okay. Did you not just say that you prepared for this hearing today? $1 million, okay? A quick Google search or using your AI could tell you $1 million was spent. How much money was spent on autism in Minnesota in 2024?
I don't have the number in
Hundreds of
front of me.
million. I
As
bet.
Were you
governor,
governor
I
in
don't.
2024?
I was, but I'm not the
Okay,
head
so
of
your
HHS.
excuse before that you didn't know what 2017 autism numbers were because you
You
were
weren't
not
the
governor,
governor.
and today you can't answer the numbers about 2024 as governor, and you still said you prepared for this hearing today. It's unbelievable. $343 million was spent in 2024. What percent
said
increase
100.
is that? From 1 million to 343 million. What percentage increase is that?
I'm not here to be your prop. Go ahead and tell me.
Well, are you governor of Minnesota or not?
What?
Yes, I am. I'm
Okay,
not.
well,
I'm
when
not
I'm
a prop
governor of
for a
South
member
Carolina,
Congress.
you can sure as hell bet that I'm going to know the math. The math is 34,200% increase, an increase of 343 times what it was in this time period. Do you know the number of children in Minnesota?
I'm not going
I
to be
know
a
that
prop.
Minnesota ranked as a top 3 state
Okay,
for children
what is the
in the last
total
year.
population in Minnesota?
5.7 million.
Okay. What is the total population of children in Minnesota?
I don't have the number in front of me right
Are
now.
you governor of Minnesota?
I know 400,000 were cut out of health care last
Okay,
week by
that's
the
not-
actions you made.
Are you governor
Nigga,
of
what?
Minnesota?
I am.
And you don't know the number of children
I
residing
don't have
in
the
Minnesota?
specific number. It's 5.7 million.
That's your total
What is your age?
population.
What is the age?
1.2
0 to 5? 0 to
1 point-
19?
You have approximately 1.2 million children in Minnesota.
What
I'm not
age?
even governor of South Carolina. Our population in South Carolina is 5.5 million. We have approximately 1.1 million children under the age of 18 in my home state of South Carolina, okay? As governor, I expect you to know this information. Thank God you're not Vice President of the United States.
Oh,
Do you know
God, bro.
approximately how many children in Minnesota are autistic or on the spectrum?
No, I don't have that number.
Okay, well, if you take the CDC's roughly 1 in 36 kids are on the spectrum, we're talking about approximately 33,000 kids. In South Carolina, it's about 31,000 or so.
Then they got
What is,
100
do you know what this
100,000?
is per child, spending-wise, in the fraud for autistic kids in Minnesota?
Again, I'm not here to be your prop. Go ahead and tell us.
This isn't, is doing Minnesota math a prop? This is math. We're talking about fraud.
Minnesota ranks at the top. Where does South Carolina rank?
We're talking about money.
Where do
that
South
was
Carolina
supposed
children
to-
rank on healthiness?
These are my questions for you. It
Bro,
doesn't go the other way around.
talking
Unless we're
about
debating on the
fraud
debate stage.
in your
And we're
state.
not.
If you're asking
This
questions
is-
about being governor, it does.
I'm asking you
When you're
questions
governor,
about
you can
being
come and
governor
tell
of
me.
Minnesota, which you can't answer. This is basic math.
Damn, this nigga sick. Hang on.